been on a pure carnivore diet for about 2 months. I'm better now, probably, than I've ever been in my life. And I haven't been taking antidepressants for a whole year. I eat beef and salt and water. That's it. And I never cheat. Ever. Not even a little bit.
Huh?
Really? Hey, it's Al here with Ordinary Athletes, here helping you fit fitness even into the busiest of lives. And apart from the quick 12-minute routines, the tips and tricks for the ordinary athletes, we also do that by tackling some fun and sometimes controversial nutrition topics. So check out our video on whether or not sushi's healthy for you too.
So for today, we're gonna be looking at the carnivore diet. Now we're gonna be doing our best to give both sides of the story and all possible perspectives.
And a lot of people have been talking about this, especially when Jordan Peterson went on the Joe Rogan podcast and talked about that this is the diet that he follows, and he's had some really incredible and almost unbelievable results. So what's our take on Jordan Peterson's carnivore diet? Should you try it, and do the health benefits stack up?
Well, the answer isn't always a clear-cut yes or no. What we'll try to do is show how you as an XOer can view this new diet, and also how you can compare this to other nutritional information you already know.
So right off the bat, we should point out there aren't long-term studies on this, and there isn't the unquestionable science that we would hope to have on nutrition topics. But the way that we like to view it is, when it comes to things like this, try to take in the reasoning and the perspectives on all sides. So in short, just keep an open mind when it comes to new ideas and discoveries. We're now gonna cover 3 main points.
Number 1, why we may not want to simply dismiss Jordan Peterson's remarks, even when the carnivore diet seems so counterintuitive.
Number 2, why we shouldn't just blindly start copying this diet either.
Finally, number 3, how can it be possible that we can have such differing and sometimes conflicting diets all appear to yield short-term beneficial anecdotal results? So some people claim to have great results from the carnivore diet.
Hey bro, this is best, bro. It's best, bro.
But then some people claim to have great results from the vegan diet.
It's biggest thing in Europe, bro. It's best in Europe, bro.
How is that even possible? Are people lying?
So let's look at why we shouldn't just pile on and just disparage Jordan Peterson's remarks. Now, this carnivore diet has been gaining popularity for a little while now, and Jordan Peterson was certainly not the first to bring it up. But by discussing his experience with it on Joe Rogan's podcast, it definitely elevated its popularity and placed it on a lot of people's radar. First off, let's acknowledge his own disclaimer.
I am not a dietary expert, so I'm now speaking as an uninformed citizen.
He admits he's not an expert in this field, and that this is just anecdotal evidence based on his and his family's own experience.
All of the motivation for this has been my experience with my daughter, because she has an unbelievably serious autoimmune disease. Well, it's arthritis.
Second, yes, he lists many benefits, many of which are hard to believe based on a beef-only diet.
So here's what happened. I lost 50 pounds. I'm nowhere near as hungry as I used to be. My appetite's probably fallen by 70%. I don't get blood sugar dysregulation problem. I need way less sleep. I'm not anxious. I'm not depressed. I don't have psoriasis. I'm stronger. I can swim better. And my gum disease is gone.
Now, a lot of people, especially people who have different approaches to nutrition, have wanted to pile on and attack him on these points. But let's take a step back and think about this. He's not suggesting that this is the best overall diet for everyone's health. No, he did this for very specific reasons. He and his daughter had very particular health issues that this diet appears to solve for them. They had anxiety, depression, and autoimmune disorders. So he was desperate to find something that would help. Even if we disagree with the diet, this wasn't advice made for everyone. This was something that he and his daughter applied to their own dire situations. So remember to always consider diet advice while keeping in mind why the person did it and whether it actually applies to your own personal circumstances.
Now let's talk about why we shouldn't just blindly follow the carnivore diet, or any diet for that matter. There are 3 points to this. Point number 1, Remember, we mentioned that Jordan and his daughter followed this carnivore diet for specific nutritional reasons. And this brings us to a key point about nutrition in general. The more research you do about different diets and what you should and shouldn't eat, you'll realize that there's not one diet that is good for everybody. The most important aspect about nutrition is learning what is right for you given the varying degree each of us differ. Now this includes our predisposition to certain ailments, the state of our gut bacteria, possible autoimmune disorders, inflammatory disorders, allergies and or sensitivities, and even what you currently eat. The most important aspect about nutrition is figuring out what works for you given the varying degree each of us differ.
And second, there's still very little study done on this carnivore diet, and there are reasons to be skeptical. For example, it appears to be lacking when it comes to micronutrients and fiber, which are things we really need, and which we can find in other things such as fruits and vegetables. And because there's little to no long-term study done on the carnivore diet yet, it's very hard to know what the long-term health impacts are. You heard Joe Rogan ask Jordan in the podcast about a blood test because he wanted to know what the effect of the diet was on his blood lipid profile.
You've done no blood work, so you don't know what your lipid profile is, or
No, I'll get that done again when I go back to
take any
Toronto.
vitamins.
No. No, I eat beef and salt and water. That's it. And I never cheat, ever.
This is information we would need in order to be better able to assess the relationship between the diet and a potential increased risk in heart disease. But unfortunately, Jordan Peterson didn't have those blood test results at the time of the interview. And there are many other long-term health considerations that might not even show up in a blood test. For example, a diet's connection to cancer. We've heard for quite a long time about the connection between eating meat and certain types of cancer, and there's actually a lot of literature about this. Like we said earlier, we couldn't find any long-term studies on the carnivore diet that explored these types of connections, but if any of you out there come across any, please send them our way. And third, anecdotally, there appear to be some shortcomings to such an extreme, restrictive approach to dieting. For instance, one issue Jordan Peterson discusses is that it's hard to ever go back to eating other foods once you've started the carnivore diet.
When we restricted our diet and then ate something we weren't supposed to, the reaction to eating what we weren't supposed to was absolutely catastrophic.
So on the one hand, yes, let's be open-minded and see what we can learn from these new nutritional developments. But on the other hand, let's retain a healthy dose of skepticism before we go blindly running into any extreme and radical diet we come across.
How is it possible that you can hear about so many of these different and even conflicting diets giving people such positive results? Is someone lying to you? I mean, have you ever been at your office or at work, at school, or in the gym, and you have a friend or family member or coworker just nonstop talking your ear off about their great new diet, whatever it might be, telling you that it's the best thing they've ever tried, it's given them so many good results, and you absolutely should do it too. Let's say you manage to get away from that person. But you turn around and the next thing you know, there's a different person talking your ear off about a completely different and perhaps even conflicting diet, but saying the exact same things about how good it is, how great it is, how good it makes them feel, and how this is the diet you should try. How can all these people be talking about such different and contradictory dieting plans and strategies they try, and all telling you about the great results they get from them? Is someone lying to you?
You sit on a throne of lies.
Is this a big conspiracy by all of your friends to trick you? Probably not. It's actually highly plausible and quite conceivable that such different and even conflicting diets could all yield short-term anecdotal positive results for people. How? Well, it relates to this principle, and it's the principle that almost nothing in life, and certainly not in food or nutrition, is ever absolutely, objectively, certainly always good or absolutely always bad. In fact, it often depends, and you'll often realize that most food has its pros and its cons, and how valuable a particular type of food is to you is largely going to depend on who you are, your particular predispositions, your own allergies, your lifestyle. However, there are those rare exceptions where there are some foods that seem almost always to be bad. Your sugar-based products that have no redeeming qualities. I'm talking about your donuts, your cakes, your cupcakes, your pastries. Sorry everyone out there with a sweet tooth. Some of these things really shouldn't be in your diet. And obviously there's also processed meats that seem almost unequivocally bad for people. The World Health Organization has come out and shown a clear link between a lot of these processed meats and cancer. And there's a lot of studies backing that up as well. Okay, so why do I bring this up? Because the standard North American diet is actually generally so poor that it's often fraught with a lot of these terrible foods. And so almost any diet, even ones that are at odds with each other, that involve the elimination of some or all of these terrible things we generally consume, are likely all to have short-term positive anecdotal benefits that we may reap when we're starting those diets. So whether you're trying the carnivore diet or a vegan diet or vegetarianism or pescatarianism or types of fasting like intermittent fasting, you're almost always likely to see people noticing benefits almost immediately when switching over from a standard North American diet. But honestly, the most interesting analyses probably aren't going to be about comparing how much better someone is once they switch away from the standard North American diet to a new type of dieting strategy. The real interesting analyses are likely going to be the ones that come when you compare one diet directly with another diet through, say, a randomized control trial. That's when you'll really start to be able to make the comparisons and analyze the results from all of these different and conflicting dieting tactics. But unfortunately for now, we may just have anecdotal stories and really small sample sizes upon which to draw conclusions about the carnivore diet.
Nutrition can be considered both simple and complicated. Improving on the ridiculously bad North American diet is very simple. A lot of people know that you shouldn't be eating junk food, sugary drinks, or processed meats. That does not take a nutritional expert or any specialized knowledge.
Where things get complicated is after that point. So you're no longer eating fast food for breakfast. But now what? Now you're faced with all these complicated questions like, are eggs good for you? Do they actually raise the blood cholesterol level? Is sushi good for you? And do certain types of diets affect certain types of cancer developing later on in life?
We'll do our best to answer some of the more complex questions out there for any exo-wearer. But remember, even without definitive answers to some of these nutrition questions, you have the knowledge inside of you. You know junk food's not good, and you know you should eat less of it. So just start there, keep learning, and try your best.
Now, keeping an open mind is actually something that I find to be incredibly important in this whole nutrition journey that you might be on. I actually saw a comment the other day underneath a Jeff Nippert video. The video itself was about veganism and meat eating, or at least it was primarily about that. And the commenter said many things, not all of which I agreed with, but there was one line that I thought nailed it right on. He said, and I'm quoting here, "The tribalism in the nutrition and fitness industry is frankly so stupid and counterproductive." I really think this person was onto something. We shouldn't be all attacking each other for having different points of view when we should be trying to inform each other. The dogmatic approaches in nutrition have become largely unhelpful and are often factually untrue as well.
So what to make of this carnivore diet? Well, it is possible that Jordan Peterson in fact had some positive experiences with this diet. But it also is possible that you may want to avoid this until there's further evidence.
So there you have it, everyone.
Hope you enjoyed our take on the carnivore diet.
And if you did, and if you'd like to support us, then please crush that like button below, subscribe to our channel, and check out our affiliate links in the description.
And we'd love to hear what other nutritional topics you'd like to hear us cover. So we're already planning to do some on healthy versus unhealthy fats, and also on the keto diet, so be sure to check back for those ones too.
Ooh, and eggs, we're gonna talk about eggs.
Definitely eggs as well. Bye!